My neighbor invited me to go to her husband's bathroom after a glass of wine. The night was one of those perfect summer evenings where the humidity had finally broken, leaving behind a breeze that whispered through the trees and danced across the porch. My neighbor, and I had settled into our usual routine of unwinding with a bottle of wine on her porch, a ritual that had become a comforting constant in our lives. The soft glow of the porch light illuminated our faces, and the faint sounds of cicadas provided a gentle background hum as we sipped our wine and chatted about the trivialities and triumphs of our week. And I had developed a close friendship over the years. Despite our age difference, I was 34 and she was around 40, we bonded over our shared love for good wine, hearty laughter, and the occasional bit of gossip. Our rapport was easy, the kind that didn't require constant conversation, allowing us to sit in companionable silence when words weren't necessary. That night, the wine was flowing a bit more freely than usual. We were on our second bottle, a robust red that warmed my cheeks and made the world feel just a little bit softer around the edges. He was in a particularly jovial mood, her laughter coming more readily, and her eyes sparkling with a mischievous glint that I hadn't seen before. At one point, nature called, and I excused myself to use the bathroom. As I stood up, he glanced towards the house and casually mentioned that her husband, Jay, was upstairs taking a shower. She suggested, with a conspiratorial wink, that I should use the upstairs bathroom because, as she put it, he would be really excited. At first, I laughed, assuming it was one of those offhand jokes that friends make after a few glasses of wine. But then, I noticed the seriousness in her eyes and the way she leaned in, as if sharing a secret. My laugh trailed off into an awkward chuckle, trying to mask my confusion and discomfort. You're hilarious, I said, hoping to steer the conversation back to safer territory. But she wasn't laughing. She maintained eye contact, her expression earnest. No, really, she insisted. Go ahead. I'll watch your dog out here as long as you need. My mind raced, trying to process what she was saying. Was this a joke that had gone too far, or was she genuinely offering her husband to me? The more I looked at her, the more I realized she was dead serious. A cold wave of unease washed over me. I stood there, frozen, unsure how to respond. My instincts screamed at me to flee, but I didn't want to make a scene or damage the friendship we had built over the years. So, I stammered out a polite refusal, mumbling something about preferring the downstairs bathroom, and hurried inside. As I washed my hands, I stared at my reflection in the mirror, my mind replaying these words over and over. The situation felt surreal, like a bizarre dream that I couldn't wake up from. When I returned to the porch, he was back to her usual self, chatting amiably as if nothing had happened. I tried to match her nonchalance, but the unease lingered, casting a shadow over the rest of the evening. The following days were awkward, to say the least. Every time I saw her, I couldn't shake the memory of her offer. I found myself avoiding her, making excuses to decline her invitations for wine nights. When we did cross paths, our interactions were stilted, a far cry from the easy camaraderie we once shared. I confided in a few close friends about the incident, hoping for some perspective. Their reactions ranged from disbelief to concern, but none of them had any concrete advice on how to handle the situation. Some suggested I confront her directly, while others advised me to distance myself gradually. Ultimately, I decided to address the issue head-on. Avoiding her wasn't a sustainable solution, and I valued our friendship too much to let it end without at least trying to clear the air. So, one evening, I gathered my courage and walked over to E's porch. She greeted me with her usual warmth, and for a moment, I almost convinced myself that I had imagined the whole thing. But as we settled into our seats, I took a deep breath and broached the topic. Can we talk about something? I began, my voice wavering slightly. Of course, she replied, her smile faltering as she sensed the seriousness in my tone. I recounted the events of that night, choosing my words carefully to convey my confusion and discomfort without sounding accusatory. As I spoke, I watched her expression shift from curiosity to concern, and finally to understanding. Oh, honey, she said, reaching out to squeeze my hand. I didn't realize how much that had affected you. I'm so sorry if I made you uncomfortable. I guess I thought we were close enough that. Well, I don't know what I was thinking. Her apology was sincere, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. We talked for a while longer, clearing the air and reaffirming our friendship. She explained that she and Jay had been exploring new dynamics in their relationship and had misjudged my comfort level. While I appreciated her honesty, I made it clear that I wasn't interested in being a part of that aspect of their lives. In the end, our friendship survived the awkwardness, though it took some time to fully restore the easy rapport we once had. We continued our wine nights, but with a newfound understanding of boundaries and respect. The incident became a distant memory, a strange chapter in the story of our lives that we could laugh about in hindsight. Life went on, with its usual ups and downs. He and I remained close, and I grew to appreciate the strength of our bond even more. Sometimes relationships are tested in unexpected ways, and it's through those tests that we learn their true worth. One weekend, he invited me to a barbecue they were hosting. It was a small gathering with a few close friends, and I decided to go, hoping to further mend the rift that had formed. The backyard was alive with the smell of grilled food and the sound of laughter. Jay manned the grill, flipping burgers and chatting with guests. I found myself standing near the cooler, sipping on a beer, when Jay approached me. There was a moment of awkward silence before he spoke. "Hey," he said, scratching the back of his neck. "I heard about what happened. I just wanted to say I'm sorry if we made you uncomfortable." I appreciated his apology, and we talked for a while, finding common ground in our shared interests. It was a small step, but it helped to further ease the tension. As the evening progressed, I began to feel more at ease, enjoying the company of friends and the warmth of the fire pit. Over time, the incident with E and J became a distant memory, a strange chapter in the story of our lives that we could laugh about in hindsight. Our friendship continued to grow, built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. We had navigated through a challenging situation and emerged stronger on the other side. Life moved on, with its usual ups and downs. He and I remained close, and I grew to appreciate the strength of our bond even more. Sometimes relationships are tested in unexpected ways, and it's through those tests that we learn their true worth. One evening, months after the incident, and I sat on her porch, sipping wine and watching the fireflies dance in the twilight. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, and a sense of peace settled over us. "You know," he said, breaking the comfortable silence, "I'm really grateful for your understanding. It means a lot to me." I smiled, feeling a warmth in my heart. "I'm grateful for our friendship. We've been through a lot, and we're still here, stronger than ever." We clinked our glasses together, a silent toast to the resilience of our bond. In that moment, I realized that true friendship isn't about avoiding challenges. It's about facing them together and emerging stronger on the other side. And so, our lives continued, intertwined in a tapestry of shared experiences, laughter, and a deep, abiding trust. The incident that had once threatened to drive us apart had ultimately brought us closer, a testament to the power of honesty, forgiveness, and the enduring strength of friendship. As time passed, he and I continued to share our lives, but there were more layers to our friendship now. There were new challenges, and we faced them together, always with the understanding that our bond was strong enough to withstand anything. One particularly memorable incident occurred on a rainy autumn evening. He and I were planning to have one of our usual wine nights, but the weather took a turn for the worse, with a sudden storm rolling in. Despite the downpour, I decided to brave the weather and head over to E's place, umbrella in hand. When I arrived, I was drenched, and he greeted me with a towel and a warm hug. We settled in the living room, the sound of rain pounding against the windows creating a cozy backdrop. As we sipped our wine, he confided in me about some troubles she was having at work. She was facing a difficult situation with a colleague and felt overwhelmed. I listened intently, offering my support and advice where I could. The conversation turned deeper, and we found ourselves discussing our fears, dreams, and the uncertainties of life. It was one of those nights where time seemed to stand still, and the bond between us grew even stronger. Another significant moment came during the holiday season. He and I had made it a tradition to spend Christmas Eve together, exchanging gifts and enjoying a festive meal. That year, he had planned an elaborate dinner, complete with all the trimmings. As we sat down to eat, I couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for our friendship. He had become like family to me, and I cherished our time together. After dinner, we sat by the fireplace, sipping hot cocoa and sharing stories from our past. He opened up about her childhood, and I shared memories from mine. It was a night filled with laughter, tears, and a deep sense of connection. As the fire crackled and the night wore on, I realized how much he meant to me and how our friendship had enriched my life in ways I never imagined. Then, there was the time we decided to take a spontaneous road trip. It was spring, and we both felt the need for an adventure. We packed up E's car with snacks, a playlist of our favorite songs, and a sense of excitement. We didn't have a specific destination in mind. We just wanted to explore and enjoy each other's company. The open road stretched out before us, and we sang along to the music, shared stories, and laughed until our sides hurt. We visited small towns, stopped at roadside diners, and took in the beautiful scenery. It was a journey filled with joy and a sense of freedom. Along the way, we had deep conversations about our hopes and dreams, and the trip became a cherished memory that we often reminisced about. Our friendship continued to evolve, and we supported each other through life's ups and downs. There were times when we disagreed or faced challenges, but we always found a way to navigate through them. The incident with Jay had taught us the importance of communication and understanding, and we applied those lessons to every aspect of our relationship. As the years passed, our bond remained strong, a testament to the power of true friendship. One evening, as we sat on the porch, now a bit older and wiser, we reflected on our journey together. "We've been through a lot, haven't we?" he said, her eyes filled with warmth. I nodded, smiling. "Yes, we have. And I wouldn't trade any of it for the world." We raised our glasses in a toast, celebrating not just the moments we've shared but also the strength of our friendship. In that moment, I knew that no matter what the future held, he and I would always have each other's backs. And so, life continued, with new adventures, challenges, and memories waiting to be made. Our friendship was a constant source of joy and comfort, and I was grateful for every moment we spent together. The incident that once seemed like a turning point had become a distant memory, a reminder of how far we had come and how much we had grown. Through it all, he and I remained inseparable, our lives forever intertwined in a tapestry of love, laughter, and unwavering support. We even faced some rather unexpected adventures. One summer, he suggested we try camping. Neither of us was particularly outdoorsy, but the idea of escaping the hustle and bustle of our daily lives was appealing. We borrowed a tent from a friend, packed some essentials, and drove out to a nearby national park. Setting up the tent turned into a comedy of errors, with poles and pegs seemingly having minds of their own. Eventually, after much laughter and a few frustrated groans, we managed to get the tent upright. That night, we sat by the campfire, toasting marshmallows and sharing stories under a sky glittering with stars. The tranquility of nature and the warmth of the fire made for a perfect evening. But as we crawled into our sleeping bags, we heard a rustling noise outside the tent. Our imaginations ran wild, picturing all sorts of wild animals. Clutching a flashlight, we peered out to find a curious raccoon rummaging through our food supplies. We chased it away, giggling at our overreaction and the absurdity of the situation. The camping trip was a success, and it became an annual tradition. Each year, we chose a new destination, and our adventures grew more elaborate. We hiked scenic trails, swam in crystal-clear lakes, and learned to appreciate the beauty of nature. Our bond deepened with each trip, the shared experiences creating memories that we would cherish forever. Then, there was the time we decided to take a cooking class together. He had always been the better cook, while I was more comfortable with takeout menus. But I wanted to learn, and he was more than happy to teach me. We signed up for a series of classes at a local culinary school. Our first class was on Italian cuisine, and we were tasked with making homemade pasta. The instructor demonstrated the techniques, and then it was our turn. He took to it naturally, her dough coming together perfectly. I, on the other hand, struggled to get the right consistency, and my dough looked more like a sticky mess. But he was patient, guiding me through the process and helping me refine my technique. By the end of the class, I had a passable batch of pasta, and we celebrated our success with a glass of wine. The cooking classes became a weekly highlight. We experimented with different cuisines, from French pastries to Thai street food. There were plenty of mishaps along the way, like the time I accidentally added salt instead of sugar to a cake batter, or when he set off the smoke alarm while attempting to flambe. But each mistake was a learning experience, and we laughed our way through the challenges. Over time, my cooking skills improved, and I began to enjoy the process. Cooking together became a cherished ritual, a way to unwind and connect after long days. One winter, we decided to take a trip to the mountains. Neither of us were particularly skilled at skiing, but we were eager to try. We rented a cozy cabin, complete with a roaring fireplace and a hot tub overlooking the snowy landscape. The days were filled with skiing lessons, where we spent more time falling than gliding gracefully down the slopes. Despite the bruises and sore muscles, we had a blast, cheering each other on and celebrating small victories. The evenings were spent in the cabin, warming up by the fire with mugs of hot chocolate, reflecting on the day's adventures. During one of those evenings, as snowflakes gently fell outside, he confided in me about a difficult decision she was facing at work. She had been offered a promotion that required relocating to another city. It was an incredible opportunity, but it also meant leaving behind her life here, including our close-knit community and, most importantly, our friendship. My heart sank at the thought of her moving away, but I knew I had to support her, no matter how much I would miss her. We spent hours discussing the pros and cons, and I assured her that our friendship would endure, no matter the distance. Ultimately, he decided to take the promotion, and we promised to make the most of the time we had left before her move. We threw a huge farewell party, inviting all our friends and neighbors. It was a night filled with laughter, tears, and heartfelt toasts. As the evening wound down, he and I sat on the porch, reminiscing about all the adventures we had shared and looking forward to the new ones that awaited her. The day she left was bittersweet. I helped her pack up the last of her things, and we shared a tearful hug before she drove away. The house next door felt strangely empty without her, and I had to adjust to a new routine. We stayed true to our promise, keeping in touch through regular phone calls, video chats, and the occasional visit. He thrived in her new role, and I was so proud of her accomplishments. We continued to share our lives, even if it was from a distance. Whenever she came back to visit, it was like no time had passed. We would pick up right where we left off, sharing wine on the porch and catching up on each other's lives. One spring, a few years after E's move, she called me with exciting news. She was getting married, and she wanted me to be her maid of honor. I was overjoyed and honored to stand by her side on such a special day. The wedding was held in a beautiful vineyard, and it was a celebration filled with love, laughter, and happy tears. As I gave my toast, I spoke about our incredible journey together, the ups and downs we had faced, and the unbreakable bond of our friendship. He beamed at me from across the room, and I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the amazing friend she had been. Our lives continued to evolve, and we embraced the changes with open hearts. E and her husband eventually moved back to our town, and we resumed our cherished wine nights. The porch became a gathering place for not just us, but for our growing circle of friends and family. We shared our lives, supported each other through new challenges, and celebrated each other's successes. The incident with Jay, which had once seemed like a pivotal moment, was now just a small part of our long and rich history. It had tested our friendship, but it had also strengthened it in ways we could never have imagined. As I look back on our journey, I am filled with a profound sense of gratitude. He has been my rock, my confidant, and my partner in adventure. We have shared countless moments of joy, faced challenges together, and created memories that will last a lifetime. Our friendship is a testament to the power of honesty, forgiveness, and unwavering support. It has weathered the storms of life and emerged stronger and more resilient. And as we continue to navigate the twists and turns of life, I know that he and I will always have each other's backs, our lives forever intertwined in a tapestry of love, laughter, and enduring friendship.